Imagine a world where every eye follows you. They see you as their future, the one who will rule them one day. But then, in a single breath, it all crumbles down with no explanations at all. Just an empty throne and a hollow ache. Something inside you breaks. The light dims and the world looks at you again, and they don't see a hero in you anymore. You go from being the main character to just a villain in someone else's story. A new era dawned upon the Maldives. The Hilali dynasty rose to power. It was led by Sultan Hassan al-Hilali I Sri Veera Bovana Maharadum, a ruler who was merciless. He ruled for a decade, passed his crown to his son Ibrahim. Sultan Ibrahim Dhammaruviru barely held the throne before his own uncle Hussein rose against him. With each change in ruler, the bloodlines shifted and the kingdom was thrown into turmoil. Finally, Sultan Hassan's son, Yusuf Loka Ananda, would claim the throne and rule for 21 years, only to be succeeded by his half-brother Abu Bakr I, Sultan Siri Bhavana Suja. Sultan Abu Bakr unknowingly risked his bloodline's future when he commissioned a royal barge, setting off a chain of fateful events. He appointed Himiti Mawadikoe, a skilled craftsman from Fafu Atoll, to lead the project. During an inspection, Princess Rekka Kamana and Mawadikoe locked eyes, sparking an undeniable love. The Sultan, seeing their deep connection, blessed their marriage. But Rekka Kamana's jealous stepmother, unable to bear her happiness, poisoned her, making it seem though as she had died. The kingdom mourned the loss of their princess, but Mawadikoe secretly sought a healer who discovered that Rekka Kamana was alive but in a coma. Hidden away, far, far away from the palace, Rekka Kamana recovered and she and Mawadikoe had 3 children, Dhivehiraajjeyge, Dhambula and Burecca. Years later, Mawadikoe revealed the truth to Sultan, who was overwhelmed with the joy upon reuniting with his daughter and grandchildren. Furious at his deceitful wife, he disowned her and welcomed Rekka's family back into the palace. The children were given the finest education under a renowned martial arts master, preparing them for the destiny that had awaited them for so long. Burecca was no ordinary royal daughter. She burned with a fire that could not be ignored. She was a bright star. The kingdom, once content with their idea of having male rulers, began to see something different in her. They saw a leader in the making. Burecca truly believed that she was destined for more than just a title. She believed that she was destined to rule the Maldives. But despite her undeniable talent, fate had other plans for Burecca. In the year 1512, it was her younger brother Dhambula who ascended to the throne. He became Sultan Ali V, and Burecca, despite her competence, found herself playing a different role in the unfolding drama of the kingdom. But her heart still blazed with ambition. Now there was something else burning within her. A love that was so intense that she could no longer ignore her desires. Burecca had kept her feelings hidden for so long. Her secret affection for her cousin Kalhu Muhammadu, the son of her aunt Sitiranikilege. Kalhu Muhammad was once a king in his own right. This was no ordinary love. Burecca and Kalhu Muhammad burnt for each other. It was a forbidden fire that even Dhivehiraajjeyge with all her authority could not put out. She hated the idea of Burecca being with her son. She believed that Burecca was unworthy of her son. But love does not necessarily bow down to disapproval now, does it? Every night, as soon as his mother fell asleep, Kalhu Muhammad would slip out of his home and make his way through the silent streets to Hakuragandwaru, the place where Burecca lived. It was their little secret world hidden from the eyes of those who wished to keep them apart. The very place where their love blossomed is now where the People's Majlis stands, but back then, it was the heart of their forbidden romance. When the city slept, they whispered their love into the quiet night. Promises, dreams and desires only the stars could hear. But as the dawn approached and the call for Fajr prayers echoed through the streets, Kalhu Muhammad would slip away, climbing the palace walls and disappearing into the shadows. No matter how risky, no matter how forbidden, he returned every single night. Their love thrived in secrecy, burning brighter with each stolen moment. But fate is cruel. One night, as Kalhu Muhammad jumped from the palace wall, his own feet betrayed him. He crashed right in front of Bodu Banderi, the king's treasurer. Bodu Banderi's gut feeling told him to seize the figure before him. A thief surely, he thought. But no, it was the royal son, the once king, a man of nobility. He wasn't just a common thief. Or was he? He sure was. A thief of time, a thief of forbidden love, a thief of moments that were never meant to be his. Bodu Banderi did let him go that night, but the truth weighed heavy on his shoulders. He went to the Sultan and told him what he had seen that night. Dumbula Fashana, the Sultan, he felt torn. He knew what had to be done, yet he hesitated, for the decision would shatter his sister's heart beyond repair. Still, a king must choose duty over sentiment, right? That's exactly what Dumbula Fashana did. Kalhu Muhammad was exiled, banished to the distant shores of Vadu in Huadu atoll. Burecca's world crumbled. She couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep, her entire body became so weak, and her spirit, it started fading slowly. The palace called upon the greatest doctors and sorcerers in Malé. They were desperate to wake her from this living death, but some wounds ran too deep for medicine to mend. Burecca swore to herself that this would not be the end of her love. I mean, how could it be? Her love for him was so real, it was so undeniable. It burnt with the intensity of 1,000 suns. How could this be the end of her love? Definitely cannot. But people started talking in the court. They said that her love for him wasn't just love, it was ambition. A very calculated move to marry into royal bloodline and stake her own claim to the throne. But the truth was far more complicated than anyone could fathom. Only Burecca understood the depth of her feelings. She loved Kalhu Muhammad not because of his royal blood or the power he could have claimed, but because of who he was. His strength, his dreams, his heart, his love for her. To the world, Kalhu Muhammad could have been a ruthless king, but to Burecca, he was something far more precious than that. It wasn't just a crown she sought anymore. It was the right to love, to be loved, and to protect what was hers from the cruel hands of fate. The distance between Burecca and Khidhu Muhammad only fueled their passion, and she grew more determined than ever to be with Kalhu Muhammad. She came up with a lie that would definitely work in her favor. She told her brother that she needed to fulfill a religious vow in Vadu. It was an act of devotion that required her to complete a 3-day fast at a specific mosque in Wadu. The Sultan, unable to refuse such a request, he reluctantly allowed her to make that journey. To ensure her safety during this journey, the Sultan sent his sister with a trusted servant, Ghafaru Kalhu Ibrahim, also known as the Ghafaru Kalhu. The Sultan, though conflicted, knew he had to comply with his sister's wishes, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was sending her into a dangerous situation, one that would only bring more complications to the royal family. Burecca was on her way to Wadu, but it was never her intention to go to Wadu. That was never her plan. She was far too driven for such a simple cause. With Ghafaru Kalhu on her side, they boarded on a bold detour, a path that no one could predict. Instead of heading to Wadu, they changed their destination. That journey led them far beyond the Maldives to Aceh, Indonesia in today's world. She left Aceh and headed to Goa, and she met with the Portuguese, the mighty conquerors of Goa at that point, and with cunning and ruthless ambitions, she arranged an alliance with the Portuguese. She promised them a share of the kingdom's wealth once she is able to seize the throne, and it was an offer that was too tempting for them to resist. And the deal was struck, and with it, Burecca secured foreign aid that would shift the tides of power in her favor. But her schemes did not end there. After cementing her alliance with the Portuguese, Burecca and Ghafaru Kalhu returned to the Maldives. They headed straight to Ghafaru, where they would lay the foundation of their next move. Burecca knew that whatever she was about to do will not only change the course of her life, but the very history of Maldives itself. The winds of fate were shifting, and Burecca was ready to take her place at the center of it all. In Ghafaru, Burecca's ambition reached its darkest point. The plan she had carefully devised to seize the power now included the ultimate betrayal, her brother's assassination. She knew the one person she could trust most in this dangerous mission was Ghafaru Kalhu, the loyal servant who had accompanied her through every step of her journey. To secure his loyalty even further, she promised him a high-ranking position in the kingdom once she is able to take control, a title that would elevate him to power alongside her. Their target was very clear: Dhivehiraajjeyge, the man who had torn apart her life, her love. The man who took everything from her, the man who first took the throne from her, and now the man who took her love from her. Burecca knew that Dhivehiraajjeyge had to die. At the heart of their scheme was Hurdali Yusuf, Ghafaru Kalhu's stepfather. He was the keeper of the king's sword, the very weapon that held the power of life and death. They whispered in Yusuf's ear, convincing him that this was the only way forward. Hungry for power himself, he agreed, and under the cover of darkness, the sword was drawn. With one quick, brutal strike, Dhivehiraajjeyge was no more. The kingdom was left in shock and in disorder. For Burecca, it was the moment she had been waiting for. The throne was finally within her reach. The blood spilled would pave the way for her to claim the power she had always dreamed of. The kingdom would fall under her rule, and there would be no turning back. The storm had just begun. Burecca seized the throne and became the queen. But despite her newfound power, her heart still remained set on one person, the love of her life, Kalhu Muhammad. The first decision she made as queen was to bring him back to Mali from Wadu. She had orchestrated everything to ensure his return, and once he stepped foot on the island, she wasted no time. Burecca married Kalhu Muhammad, the man she had loved for so long. It was as if all of her dreams were coming true, one by one. In an act that truly shocked the entire kingdom, and after all of that bloodshed, she gladly, happily handed over the crown to Kalhu Muhammad. Despite all the ambition that had fueled her to rise to power, her love for him, it overcame all of those desires she had to sit on the throne. The kingdom, now in his hands, marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Burecca's legacy would forever be marked by the sacrifices she made, the love she had for Kalhu Muhammad, the blood she shed to bring him back, and her ultimate surrender of what she had fought for so hard to claim. Burecca and Kalhu Muhammad had a daughter, Kamba Aisha Ranikilege, a name that would one day go through history as the widow of Ali Raskefanu. The tale of Burecca and Kalhu Muhammad's love did not have a happy ending like many had imagined. As time wore on, the passion between Burecca and Kalhu Muhammad began to fade, giving away to a bitterness neither had anticipated. Kalhu Muhammad, who was once the object of her deepest affection, revealed the darkness within him. His brutal nature, always simmering beneath the surface, exploded in a shocking act. He divorced her and banished her to Tiladummati. Once Burecca was pushed aside, Sultan Kalhu Muhammad moved on. He married a new woman, Shirazi Fatumadiyo, and together they had a son named Hassan Kalaminja, who was destined to rise to power. Burecca was now nothing more than a forgotten shadow cast aside by the very man she had once fought for and sacrificed everything for. The kingdom watched as she was stripped from her status, her power, and her place in the palace. It was a disturbing fall from grace. The love she once had for Kalhu Muhammad now lay broken. It was replaced by bitterness that would linger in the years to come. This is the tragic story of Burecca, or the Bureki Ranin of Maldives. She lost everything in the end. A throne she had fought for so hard to claim slipped right through her fingers, falling into the hands of her deceitful husband and his now queen. And their son would soon take the throne, leaving her dreams of power shattered. Now, this story taught me how quickly power can slip away. If I could say anything to Bureki Ranin, it would be like, girl, maybe next time, choose your battles wisely. When you finally get what you want, you'll always have to remember that sharing sometimes is a bit overrated. Anyway, what's done's done. I feel so bad for Burecca in the end. I mean, I know she's a villain, but still, she did not deserve what had happened to her. And as somebody who romanticizes almost everything, Kalhu Muhammad, you're such a disappointment. Anyway, until we are able to unfold another tale beyond the sunny side, this is me, Thaareekhah, signing off. Stay safe and bye-bye.